This is Hank from the Wildflower Bee Farm. 2 days after the attack began, you can see that the bees continue to try to protect the entrance, but the robbers appear to be winning. You can see the debris, and here the bees just aren't really organized. Now, the odd bee, not surprisingly perhaps, goes about its daily chores or jobs of cleaning and taking care of things. You'll even see the odd bee come in with propolis or even the odd pollen, but they're fighting for their life. You can see some of the refuse, some of the wax, some of the propolis. And you're going to see the odd bee come out being forced out by other bees. But they're just, if you look at the overall, behavior and personality of this hive, it's just not great. And they know they're in trouble. They know they're in trouble. I'm moving the camera to try to get different shots of this, but it's really hard to watch. Remember, this is a sentimental hive. This was my dad's hive about 50, 60 years ago that we put back into use, and this hive looked very strong going into the winter. So it's frustrating to stand by and watch this and do absolutely nothing. And I ask again, what would you do? Now, the bees that come in, you can see the robber bees have very little hair left on their abdomens, which gives it that sort of dark shade, and they just sort of boldly go in. The other bees don't seem to be fighting as much. There you see a bee pick up some propolis and fly away, which I find very strange. So this goes on, and you'd think that with just 8 frames in a smaller hive, that this wouldn't go on this long, because usually in the literature they talk about a couple of days to be robbed out and empty. The wasps are also hovering because they can smell something. 4 days after the attack began, you can see it's even getting more intense. More and more robbers coming in, more debris, more fighting, more scrapping, and it's becoming a very difficult thing to watch. I'm really feeling like this hive's had it. It's not going to make it, and there's really nothing I can do. And even though the bees on occasion will pull out another bee or look like they're fighting, there's a drone coming in, for gosh sakes. What's a drone doing? It obviously resides in this hive, and it's allowed to come and go as it pleases, but I'm not sure what's going to end up happening with this hive. Well, I kind of know, and I don't want to really have to address the issue. The final shot we have is 5 days after the attack began, which is very surprising that these bees continue to fight. There continue to be robbers coming in, but the bees are fighting back. We also see shortly wasps beginning to test the entrance. You can see when the robbers go in, they go directly in. And while there are a few bees trying to keep them out, it's just impossible because there's so many of them. There's another one. You can see they just continually are coming in to steal resources. There's a bee leaving with propolis, which isn't written up much in the literature, but these bees were also taking propolis from this hive, not just honey, which isn't written up. See, there it goes again. That's not pollen, that's propolis, it looks like, which is very strange. There's a wasp. Now look at the wasp testing the entrance, and that's what they do. They test to see if there's a response from the bees, and if not, they'll call their buddies. They're like a scout. They'll scout, and if they can get in, then they end up calling their buddies to come and to get some protein or get some honey. You can see how the bees are just overwhelmed. Now there's a bee being pulled out, a robber, but as they did that, 2 or 3 of them were distracted, and another group just came in. So I'm Hank from the Wildflower Bee Farm. This is day 5. Next week we'll continue to watch, somewhat amazingly, as this hive continues to fight. You have an amazing week. Talk soon.